Hello,
I'm Kent.
I'm Renee Miller, and welcome to the Augmentation of Man. Today, we're going to be talking about
What it means to be awakened.
or awakening. It's out in the news a lot lately, especially on social media. And the question is
Are we
the
social?
way that it's being used, is that the correct way of using
What
it?
does it mean?
What does it
we
mean
find that
to
different people
awaken?
have different meanings of what awakening is.
And it seems like there's a human definition of awakening and there's a spiritual definition of awakening. And they're both totally different. So, what does it mean to spiritually awaken?
We're going to delve into this and try to straighten out what the meanings really are.
What we have discovered is that since we have embarked on this spiritual path, that when our guides, our spiritual guides, and particularly the ancients who are our spiritual guides, these are ancient teachers of the Creator, they will use a word or a phrase, and it doesn't quite fit into the context of the sentence as we understand it. But then when we go to the actual definitions, list of definitions, we discover that there are other definitions
which we weren't aware of,
that fit perfectly in the context of the sentence in which it's being used.
Yeah, we as humans are very limited in our communication, but we limit ourselves.
And part of it is our upbringing. And so when we're learning about our language, we are getting some definitions as we go along, but a lot of it, I think, is assumed because we're fitting it into a context of a sentence, and we assume that it means a certain thing. And as humans, we're not that likely to go straight to a dictionary and look up the definitions ourselves. And so we progress along with an assumption of what those words mean.
It depends on our culture, how we were raised, where we were raised in this world, because there are different meanings for these words, and it looks like in different cultures. So that's quite interesting. When we're talking about waking up, it may have a different meaning here in the United States as compared to waking up in Africa or Egypt or one of the other countries.
But universally, when we're talking about other universal beings that are not human, they use these words in a much more sophisticated manner, and the definition is much different.
Yeah, so what does it mean, waking up? According to the ancients, it's completely aligned with who you are spiritually and where you are spiritually. Now, I'm not talking about a church or religion or anything like that, but where you are inward spiritually, totally without the ego.
And it's like not identifying with this physical body either. And so it is who we are on a conscious level.
Where the self does no longer exist.
And so it's thinking about it in the sense of we're only pure consciousness. And one example I have of that is when you watch these videos of people who've had near-death experiences, and they talk about when they are disembodied, say they've had an accident and they've been cast out of their physical body and into the spiritual realm, and they're having these spiritual experiences. They describe how they have questions and immediately they know the answer. They're tapping into a conscious field they're aligning to that conscious field
temporarily while they're there.
while they're there,
Yeah.
and they're able to gain the knowledge and the understanding immediately. And so we have to think of it in these terms.
Yeah.
And so when the self no longer exists, when this physical body no longer exists, all that remains is the consciousness that we have attained.
Yeah. So it's all it is a multiple of energies, of frequencies and energies that exist in the cosmos. And to put that in perspective, it's expressed as a mathematical variable. I said mathematics is the language of all the cosmos.
And of God the Creator.
Right. As
so everything is expressed in mathematics.
Right. So as your understanding grows, it is expressed in mathematic variables, and it changes as you understand more and more along your path. You gain understanding and wisdom. This variable will change.
And it's the sum total of all consciousness that exists everywhere. And so why is he bringing up all that is? And the definition of all that is that when we get back to the awakening, it also means to know and to understand all that is and how that works. So all that is a fluctionable, this is the word that they use, flux, meaning it's a changeable energy that is expressed mathematically as an equation, but it's a variable, meaning that it changes as the sum total of all consciousness that exists changes. It's a reflection of that. So as we grow in our spiritual understanding and our consciousness, then all that is, as it is expressed as a mathematical formula that reflects the consciousness as a energetic vibrational frequency, that changes. That number changes as a variable. It varies. And I don't want to say that it goes down, but it does go up.
Yeah. So in order to reach this level, or to be on the path of the level of consciousness, you have to bleach yourself out. Basically, you have to say, okay, I don't exist as I have always existed, because you live under a perceptive rule. So you have to become one. You have to say, I want to become one. You want to become one with the path to consciousness.
With that energy field, the conscious energy field.
So one moves to a higher level, you'll find your communication level will change as your with your conceptual being, as it changes.
And what conceptual entities that you are communicating with, that level changes.
That's
too.
Correct.
So as you start to meditate, and once you're able to tap into that communicative and intellectual or intelligent energy field, that will continue to go up, and the entities that you're able to communicate with that are teaching entities will also change.
But you have to use this. It's like anything. You don't use it, you don't attain it.
Mm-hmm. And so when you're awakened, it is that you have let go of the ego. You have let go of your association with this singularity of a physical form, and you've become one with the energy field of all consciousness. And you're able to easily tap into that field of consciousness and gain a higher and higher levels of understanding and wisdom from it instantaneously.
Yeah, so we've run into people throughout our career here, as a premature awakening. They think they're awake, but they're prematurely awaking. What now? Explain what that means, or the experience that we've had of this premature awakening.
It was we had received this lesson, or actually, I think it was that our spiritual teachers had mentioned a premature awakening, and so we went back and asked, "Can you explain this?" And they said that it is in, and I'm going to put this in simple terms, to awaken but not have the understanding or wisdom to move forward. And we didn't quite understand it as it was given to us, because it's given in a different type of communicative language. It's a little more complicated than the way we think and we speak here, but it takes some time to digest it and to really come to understand what they're talking about. But what really solidified that understanding is we met this man who had a near-death experience, and we were really quite excited to find out from him what he experienced. And that excitement really turned to disappointment rather quickly, because what he said was, "We are all one, and there is nothing more than this life." Well, we had been taught differently, that we live multiple lifetimes and we're growing and learning with each one. So that didn't fit into our teachings.
Yeah, but the all is one.
That was correct.
That was true, yes.
Yeah. And so what we came to understand is that in his near-death experience, he came to realize that we are all one, because when you become a part of that conscious energy field, you realize you're just a part of that conscious energy field, and it's all one. But that he hadn't completed his cycle of perceptual learning. So he was still stuck in that paradigm.
In your old paradigm, what you saw, how you saw things,
how you see things.
What you see things, yeah.
So he was still seeing things in the old paradigm of perception, which is not always the truth. Yet it was revealed to him in the next level of conceptual learning that we are all one. So he wasn't quite synchronizing with that level of knowing that we're all one, because he still hadn't completed the lessons from the previous learning cycle.
Yeah, so that's all considered premature awakening. He wasn't awakened at that particular time, but he's trying to find the path to awakening.
Yeah, and he had this accident or whatever his story was, because I don't remember the details now, but that is what caused him to have this out-of-body experience or near-death experience. And yet he wasn't able to connect the dots to realize that we do have multiple lifetimes and we come back, because he just hadn't learned that yet.
Yeah. So with that, we hope that we helped you understand what the word awakening means.
The human understanding is just that we're becoming aware of the reality of our situations here on Earth. So in that context, it is correct, but it isn't the context in which other spiritual beings use that word. And that is to become one with the conscious energy field, or all that is. And when you do that, And I think that anyone who has had communication with spiritual beings is that they will say we. They don't refer themselves to I. And if they do, I would be a little suspicious that they weren't of the highest entity to be communicating with. But they will speak in the form of a plural, and so the ego is shed, and they do not any longer associate themselves as a singular entity.
So we hope you understand what we're talking about. And we wanted to make this a short video just for defining this particular item in our understanding.
Let us know what you think.
Yes.
And give us some feedback. Hopefully we've clarified it well enough that it can be understood.
Yeah, with that, I'm going to.
And this is a lesson that's out of a book that we published, the lessons that we received from the ancients and other spiritual teachers. This is the Augmentation of Man series, and the name of the book is The Acquiescence of Humanity, bringing humanity into the universal neighborhood. And so we will leave those more on those two books at the end of this video. They're available on Amazon.
All right, thanks for being with us and listening, taking your time out in your life to try to understand more of what's happening around us.
Peace be with you on your journey to enlightenment. Have a good week.